Temur Super Friends, Temur Kasmina, Temur Planeswalkers, whatever you want to call it here. So the Enigma Sage, really sweet card out of Strixhaven that, while not much of anything in particular on her own, just like scry 1 and a +2, make some fractals, has an ultimate that we don't actually leverage in this deck. Her static text is really powerful in this archetype. So she gives each other planeswalker we control her loyalty abilities, which is super powerful with cards like Kiora here, which normally only go down. But she's also powerful with things like Royal Scions and Chandra Torch of Defiance, who normally only +1. So like if you have Kasmina on 3, you can play Chandra on 4, or sometimes you play her on 2 and then play Chandra on 3, and you get to put Chandra to 6 right away. So you get to ultimate these planeswalkers faster than you normally would with Kasmina. Kasmina's +2 with something like Sarkhan here also means that you can like play Sarkhan, make a token, +2 him, and then make another token while keeping the Sarkhan around. People commented last time that we didn't have an instant or sorcery to fetch up with their ultimate, and that's intentional. So in general, this deck is kind of a mid-rangey kind of monster-style beatdown deck. So if you have planeswalkers with 8+ loyalty on them, in general, you're better served in this deck making large fractals to attack your opponent with, rather than trying to tutor up something like you could play something like a Temur Ultimatum that's going to be clunky when you draw it, and I think in general you'd rather just have a bunch of fractals in the archetype. So Heart of Kiran's another card that's incredibly sweet with all of our planeswalkers. You can play offense and defense with this card, and just a great effect that I think is kind of under leveraged in this format. I got a couple of decisive denials here as a counterspell fight split card, and then a little bit of ramp at the bottom end of our curve. One other piece of synergy that's great to highlight is that Glorybringer's Exert is really powerful alongside Kiora, because Kiora can untap this every turn. So Kiora plus Glorybringer lets you exert and kill something almost every single turn, which is fantastic. So let's go ahead and dive on into some games with this Temur deck and see how it goes this morning. Had a tip there from Foxhull. Thank you for the support. I appreciate it. For Sultai Super Friends getting in the deck queue, I would love to get your Sultai variation in the queue. It's sweet to see you make a decent run with it to open this weekend. Blue Fire, thanks for the 3/4 of a year. Welcome back. And Ashley Bunnies, thanks for the follow. Good morning. Why were the Shifty Boys removed? I largely had the Ceratopses in the deck to hedge Rogues, and Rogues has become less popular since the last time we played this deck a bunch. LBB, thanks for repping that Prime support. Welcome back. I appreciate it. And Apocalypse, thanks for the half a year. Welcome back. Morning, good morning. Happy Monday, folks. That's true. I'm sure now that I said Rogues has been less popular, this will be Rogues. It is not. God bless. What do you think of Lovestruck Beast? I don't really know that I have anything I want to cut for Lovestruck Beast. Source is perfect.
We must prepare.
Like, what am I trimming to fit it in? Like one of the other adventure cards? Like I could trim like Bonecrusher Giant or Brazen Borrower, but the utility on those cards is both very good. Especially if like this is auras. Esper? Huh.
You want to go, tough guy?
Yeah, I mean, a 5/5 is just like a good, a 5/5 for 3 is just like a good rate. Oh, yeah, you're right. They probably are Tainted Pact, huh? That's probably what that means. There's been a lot of Pact variations that have been playing Luris. They're probably Tainted Pact. I think I'm just digging for a Sarkhan here.
There's still time for my plans.
Well, you have to remember that uncommons are not fourth card protected, Conqueror. You want a sideboard Lovestruck Beast. I think that card's not good enough against aggro to sideboard, especially in a format where the aggressive decks have cleave. Okay, so Chandra ultimates next turn, which is nice. I'm going to start with the Scry here. Actually, I probably just want to put a bunch of pressure into play, right? Is probably what I want to do. No, not $200. Normal sets cost you $200 to get most everything. Strixhaven was double that because of the Mystical Archives. Okay, yeah, I think I'm going to go ahead and Scry. So let's count. So this attacks for 4, and then this could do 2 this turn, and then next turn I could play a couple of spells plus have a 5/5. I think we set up to kill them next turn, assuming we get an next turn. We might not get an next turn. We might get combo killed on their turn 4 here.
Yup, you're going down. The laws of reality.
Right, if they don't kill us next turn,
Revision.
we get to kill them with Chandra Ultimate. Well, remember, they can't just, like, shift to do it for every set, right? Because, like, Magic sets are designed pretty far in advance, Conqueror. So, I think the Mystical Archives were a wild success, and we'll see this idea happen again, probably at some point in the future, but it won't be in the short term. Yeah, they're definitely packed combo. Okay, so let's do this. They have a Stifle.
There's no problem fire can't solve.
Why do I love Krakens? Just can't help myself. Nature flows with vigor.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. We're literally 1 point short.
This is merely a fraction of my health.
Hey, am I dead? We weren't dead last turn, so we did have a quick clock this game. They didn't have it naturally. We didn't give them time to tutor into it, so. Did you punk us? Is Ashton Kutcher about to jump out? So remember we still have this Chandra emblem, right? So like even if they answer both of these, they're just dead dust casting a spell. Like we have a spell face up here. All right, so disputes get to come in. Yes, Kasmina shaving. It was great that we got to see what we talked about right off the bat, right? Kasmina coming in and just like shaving a turn off the ultimate. I don't have a ton of interaction here in our sideboard for this, and honestly, I think too much interaction is a bad thing in this matchup. In general, the correct approach to winning this matchup, I think, involves just running them down like we did in that game and hoping they don't have it. Being too reactive tends to not be good in my experience. So I'm going to bring in the disputes. We'll trim Borrowers and Bonecrusher and hope to just have another game similar to that one, huh? Accelerants into stuff. With enough time watching on YouTube, thought I would throw you some support, keep up the good work. Thanks for the 2 months, Brotherhood. I really appreciate that. Welcome back. Wouldn't be here without folks like you. Fredwick, thanks for the 43 months. Speaking of YouTube, the Meta Monday that we started off here this morning is up on YouTube now. If you want to get a peek on what information from the weekend looked like from some of the tournaments going on for Historic, check that out. It's a little slow, but it has all of our colors and it has the dispute, so I'm going to go ahead and keep it. Nailed it, chat. Never didn't have that Llanowar Elf. What a perfect heat from a master gamer. Well, to be fair, Sheriff, this deck isn't a pure singleton deck. They play 2 copies of Pact and 2 copies of their other thing for a reason. What if... Here's a question. What if someone told you you were always going to be on the draw, but your 8th card was always going to be Llanowar Elves? Would you take that? Would that be a play you'd be like, deal in? I think I'd take that. I think that'd be an exchange I'd be happy with. Robo Reagan, thank you for the sub gifts this morning. I appreciate that. Thanks for keeping me around. I think we're ditching... I think it's the Glorybringer. I think I'd rather have Sarkhan. Someone asked if I'm holding up dispute here. I am not. So I think if they're gonna kill us next turn, they're gonna kill us next turn. I'm gonna play the Chandra, and again, like, you will lose more games to this pack deck playing scared and reactive than you will win being afraid of their combo. And, like, we might die next turn, but that doesn't mean that it's right for me to put myself a turn behind in a majority of games where we don't die next turn. This is kind of like the Splinter Twin conundrum. It's often right to just make them have it. Manamore, thanks for the follows. If I want to play Burn, is that a game loss? Thanks for the biddies, Beetle, asking the real questions. Yeah, if we aren't dead next turn, I get to make mana off of Chandra, cast Sarkhan, hold dispute up, right? So, like, by making them have it here, I position myself to be in a really good spot to win the game. Hey, thanks for the 13 months, post the jam. I keep seeing people talk about, how the pack deck gets worse once people understand how to interact with it. And that shows such a fundamental misunderstanding about what makes the pack deck good. The pack deck is good, is at its worst when you kill them. It's not at its worst when you're interacting with them. The pack deck wants you to go slow and interact with them.
What is my strategy here?
What the pack deck doesn't want to see is me having, 20 power worth of things to attack with next turn or whatever. It could be right to just smack them for 8 here. Yeah. I don't know. I have lethal next turn regardless, right? Because I have like 2 from Chandra and I have damage from the Royal Scions alts. So like I have lethal next turn regardless. Yeah, the auto tapper, and that's one of the little details that they like really need to fix with the auto tapper. This card should be considered a one mana blue spell for the auto tapper. Is like one of the really small things they could and should do to fix things. This does 6. This does 7, sorry. -8 on this does 7 damage, and yeah. Oh, you're not counting these. That's stupid. You count these cards. These cards are fine. They do plenty of damage. Why would you not count my creatures in play? I think I dispute this, right? Because if they fork like a... No, Baleful Mastery wouldn't count. What could they fork here that I care about? It's probably a removal spell, right? I think we dispute this anyways, right? I mean, forking Pact doesn't do anything. But what does forking Pact do? They only have 3 mana left. Okay, so they're dead, right?
Oh, this is gonna hurt.
Maneuver into position.
Then charge and strike.
I'm doing good, Therapy. I'm back to being a normal person again today. Here there be dragons, chat. And again, that's the best way to kill the Tainted Pact deck. Is don't interact with them a whole bunch. You want to just end the game. Any mutations to report for being a fully vaccinated person? My cell phone gets full reception in my basement now, which is nice. Yeah, this is good, right? Honestly, I think we bottom the redundant Bonecrusher Giant, so we have like 2, 3, and then this is a 5 down the line. You also get a free copy of Windows 10. You know, speaking of Windows 10, I forgot. Have you changed your mic to Microsoft relation? I've been on Windows for a little bit, Beetle. Although I will say, I've thought about switching my streaming rig back to Linux since I'm doing most of my non-arena gaming on my PlayStation now. Linux unfortunately doesn't support RTX voice. If NVIDIA adds Linux support for RTX voice, I'll probably go back. But I mostly switched to Windows for games, and now I'm doing my gaming on the PlayStation, so. I'm just gonna do this so I can cast this next turn. Little punish for being conservative and bottoming the Bonecrusher Giant. No, I was really sick Thursday and Friday, Gengar, and I didn't do one. Use wine for an arena? Yeah, arena runs. I would say Arena runs perfectly via wine, but Arena doesn't run perfectly on anything. Arena runs as well as it runs on Windows via Wine. Any recommendations on a capture card? Yeah, DM me on Discord, James, and I can send you a link to the one I bought off of Amazon. If you don't want a 4K capture card, there's a bunch of good cheap ones. In fact, the capture card that I've been using is pretty sweet. It's got switches on the front of it here, so you can plug multiple things. See how dusty my computer is? You can plug multiple things into the back to it. So like when I was streaming with well, I think we've died. When I was streaming with my Switch and my PlayStation occasionally, I didn't have to plug and unplug, which was nice. See, I think $150 is too much money. I paid less than that for both of them. Now I'm curious. Do I have my Amazon logged in down here? I might not have my Amazon logged in on this computer. Think there's two-factor. Yeah, I don't have my Amazon logged in on this computer. Like honestly, after using 2 different cheap capture cards, I'm not sure why I would ever pay money for an expensive capture card. All right, so we're gonna bring in some extra threat density here. Probably want to trim some of these mana creatures just so I have higher threat density and cards that don't want to try and not flood out quite as much. I have 24 lands in my deck, plus 8's a lot of mana sources. I'm gonna trim 3 of these, go down to 5 1-drop accelerants. Maybe trim a couple of Bonecrusher Giants. I'd probably rather have Bonecrusher than Borrower. We want Gust over to Nile if they're on dragons. Yeah, maybe. That's true. We did see dragons out of them. The one that I have also powers off a USB, which is nice. Having to deal with a separate plug for just your capture card sucks. No thanks. Elf. That elf has done his job. We're good here. I'm gonna be honest, I've never played any of the Resident Evil series, so I'm not sure if it's the style of game that I would enjoy. Well, that's rude.
To do whatever it takes, because I am. Focus on.
Maybe I'm just supposed to keep that because it's so good in the matchup. don't mind anime-looking games personally. We played Nier Automata recently, and that was really good.
We must prepare.
Celeris, thanks for the 31 months. I appreciate that. Welcome back. You playing an indomitable creativity build? Maybe they could also just be playing like Grixis with Opus Gear Hulk. I actually don't have any more geese in my deck at the moment, so these are just here to eat it, basically. We've got huge tracts of land. Obviously should have been greedy and kept the Chandra on top. How far into Bioshock am I? We're about 4 hours in. And they would have found a discard spell? Yeah, probably. Probably dead here, I imagine.
Show me your real power.
Yeah. That's fine. This is our freebie at Plat 1. You don't see the payoff for Kasmina. Yeah, people always get so caught up on like having this big flashy thing to do. Making fractals is a payoff. That's why I include. You must not have been here for the deck tech. I always mention the deck tech that people get so caught up in like I need to ultimate this thing. No, you don't. Making fractals is good. Just more of a control or a mid-range deck. I would encourage you not to worry about distinctions like that. It's a little slow. We're on the play, so I'm gonna keep it. If you can't look at a deck and determine whether it's a control deck or a mid-range deck, ask yourself, does answering this question matter? Lafris, thanks for the follow. Welcome to the channel. Liliana the Veil's an insane planeswalker, doesn't play for ultimate. I actually disagree with that. Part of the reason why she's insane is because her ultimate's a really big threat in a number of matchups. I've played that card a lot over the years. I think I can play Kiora here because she lets me play Glorybringer next turn. As nice as it would be to get Kasmina plussing. Zero Phoenixes. They discarded a Lightning Axe. It's good for us. Do I want a dragon? Is it crazy to just Enigma Sage and then like double plus here? It does draw a card. Yeah, probably want to draw a card.
One drop, ripples and grows.
I feel like there's some concern they could have a second Lightning Axe. Yeah, but like, if they have a second axe, there's a chance that... If they have a second axe there, there's a chance that I end up, like, getting an activation with the dragon before it dies. So, like, being able to generate card advantage has some real value.
still time for my plans.
I think I need to plus this turn because I don't want to make a 5/5 that can't. Now making a 5/5 is bad with them having Ox in the bin. If Ox wasn't face up, I'd make a 5/5 there. But making a 5/5 into their Ox that's gonna get to block it doesn't seem great. You just bin 2 Phoenixes there with that strategic planning. Not a good look for us. Yeah, probably did. Not famous, thanks to the 15 months. Welcome back. Yeah, this is the downside to using the dragon aggressively like we did, right? Like, 1, I would have been able to have a fractal sooner, and 2, that I would have had a dragon that could kill these Arclight Phoenixes. Now I can do neither of those things.
Excellent. You have potential.
Alright, let's start here and see where we get.
There's still time for my plans. Everything is under control.
Knowledge is the greatest virtue.
With the courage to apply it.
Loot.
I enjoy the proper application
Yikes.
of knowledge.
It is very sad that the fractals don't work with Kiora static text, I agree. I think I hold on to this land on the off chance Royal Scions can turn it into a spell next turn. Yeah, I'm supposed to keep that other Scion on top. Well, they could kill me in 2, and they're choosing not to, so we got that going for us. Wish I had kept the other Royal Scion on top in terms of, Okay. In terms of having a trample enabler.
I sure belly flopped.
Yeah, if I had a Royal Scions here, they'd be dead to this fractal. We can give it trample. That's definitely a mistake. It's our best draw here. 3rd Bonecrusher Giant. Glorybringer's also pretty good. We're gonna escape this Ox. Turn attacks with 1 creature, are they dead? Now they have an Ox to escape. Cards the bin, so they can just escape this Ox again right away. So the 10 months, Joey. Got 11 in the air. Can we just, like, stomp their face and play a 4-3 outright? Have a gain 3 in the bank here at least. Yeah, Chandra's lethal, Bonecrusher's lethal. Depending on how they attack, a Glorybringer could be lethal. Yeah, and I'm really kicking myself for bottoming that Royal Scions. Should have had the foresight to keep it with the 7/7. I'm not dead yet. Problem is they can probably bring the Phoenixes back this turn. And if they bring the Phoenixes back, that means the Sprite Dragon goes to a 9, so we're dead even if we eat the food. Yeah, we're dead to the 2 Faithless Looting flashbacks. Definitely my game to throw there. Kid Joey, thanks for the 10 months. Welcome back. Magma Sprays, bunch of Klothys, Brazen Borrower out, Decisive Denial out. Aether Gust might be okay here. They have Ox and they have Crackling Drake. Is Heart of Kiran good enough? Probably. It blocks Phoenixes, right? Prismari Command's usually too expensive for their deck. Abrade's probably not something they bring in against a deck like what we're playing. Magical Platypus, thanks for the follow. The channel is supported. Needs a Planeswalker or a Bonecrusher Giant to crew the heart. Hard to pass up Klothys on 3 here. If they're gonna looting, usually they lead on it. Get a little deeper. Suppose they could find the looting off of it. Just struggling, sure. Useful for down the line. Hopefully I just play Crackling Drake here. think I kill the Phoenix, right? It like forces them to bring it back next turn. Otherwise, we get to get rid of it. I guess this permanently gets rid of something. Yeah, I'm gonna kill this one. If I kill the Phoenix and they bring it back, I'm in a pretty bad spot, especially because, like, this would be huge. Alright, just anything to crew this heart, please. Give me a Planeswalker so we can kill their Chandra.
Oh, that's nasty.
That'll do, pig. That'll do. It does technically crew the heart.
That was a disaster.
Chillo, thanks for the follow. Good morning. She bangs just a little bit. She moves. Ooh, that doesn't put a Phoenix into play. Goodbye, bird. We did have a little, spoilers to the people that haven't watched the Glandy Open coverage. The finals are a little bit anticlimactic. Yeah. A little surprised they didn't opt to try and find a way to bring the bird back last turn. Maybe a little bit of a mistake there on their part. Yeah, if they don't have a way to kill Glorybringer here, Glorybringer gets to kill the Crackling Drake next turn. Tainted Pact did win, but like the finals being anticlimactic had more to do with the black-white deck basically just like did nothing 4 games in a row, as opposed to the Pact deck doing anything particularly impressive. Like, the back deck's very good and Zan played very well, but like Zan's opponent in the final basically just like was non-functional for 4 games in a row. Yeah, this game should be pretty over at this point, right? I'm not playing BioShock on PC. I have heard other people say that BioShock has issues on PC, though. Yeah, Matt broadcasted some of the other Hoots tournaments with me last year. He used to travel with me for paper stuff. Potager a couple lands there. That was my favorite deck of the tournament. I haven't gone through all the deck lists yet, because I streamed yesterday and prepped for today. I just haven't had time yet. So I'll post our casters pick deck choices on Twitter this evening. Double Magma Spray is pretty good. Nobody ever really quits Magic. People just take breaks on occasion. Good morning, Elder One. Thanks for the follow. Dubs, birds. Well, let's get rid of one of them. Yeah, Jim is definitely a professional. He's very, very good at what he does. Our next open, by the way, speaking of events and co-commentators and stuff, is going to be May 30th. For people that like to mark their calendars for such things, you're interested in playing or watching. Yeah, May 30th will be just after Historic Anthology 5 releases. So the event will definitely be historic. So Historic Anthology 5 releases May 27th.
When people start screaming, I know I'm on track. Yup, you're going down.
So weird that they didn't, It's so weird that they didn't, deal damage to me. I think I'm gonna heart here, rather than playing Sarkhan and potentially having it die to, like, down tick plus deal damage. And Jim, again, I haven't confirmed who's gonna be my commentator for the next one yet.
Today's my lucky day.
They left up mana here. Might get punished for not playing Sarkhan last year if you get, like, Mystic Disputed here. The CSI assigned my co-commentator. No, but they approved them. Yeah, it's rough. Chandra's threatening an ultimate here as well. Hey, well, let me say, if I want Cool Stuff Inc. to pay for them, they approve them. I can technically have on whoever I want. I have creative freedom. Cool Stuff Inc.'s good to work with, but
This is gonna hurt.
we do not know what spoiler season looks like for that, no. One Glorybringer, please. One Glorybringer, please. Unfortunately, we have died. Not a whole lot. Not a whole lot we could do this game. I guess I technically could have sequenced Sarkhan instead of Heart of Kiran, but, like, there's a good chance it would have still just died, right? They had the Lightning Axe. They had Chandra down ticks. Yeah. Unfortunate. Just a lot of lands. All right, Conscript, you're new, so I'm not going to time you out for that. But this is your one and only warning. If you're going to make card recommendations, please answer these following pretty straightforward questions with them. the best way to go about making intelligent card recommendations. Useful card recommendations. Approach them from an analytical perspective. And also, I'd also encourage you in general, when you're thinking about non-rotating formats, yeah, mana cost is a really big deal. Like, suggesting we replace a 2-drop with a 4-drop is like, in a format where you literally die on turn 3 and 4 to Tainted Pact. It's like a pretty big exchange, pretty big difference. That's even before you get into the other details surrounding it.
We must prepare for tomorrow.
How does Pact kill on 3? On your opponent's turn 2, you cast Tainted Pact, leaving 1 card in your deck, and then on your turn 3, you cast Oracle, winning the game. The deck should Oracle should be banned. I've sat on the fence for a little bit. I am firmly in the please ban Oracle camp at this point. Yeah, mana rocks on turn 2 also work. If all you've seen in this deck is this set, it would be a reasonable conclusion to question Heart's inclusion. I'm going to time you out because that's completely unreasonable. I think if you're drawing conclusions about cards off of watching a couple of games of Magic, I would discourage you from doing that in general, and I definitely wouldn't classify that as a reasonable thing to be doing. Your sample size is bad and you should feel bad. Don't be super results based with like really small sample sizes like this. It's really, you're gonna make your deck significantly worse by doing that on average. It's like people who cut a land every time they flood, they add a land every time they screw. Just like incapable of thinking past the game they just got done playing. I think I'm supposed to hold on to this because of Shark Typhoon, as much as I want to jam the threat into play. What's going on, Senpai? Thanks for the follow this morning.
Beware the ember that ignites an inferno.
I keep that on top. I think I'm in for
The future is not.
I'm in for a 5th land to cast my 5 drops without this goose. Van Tricks. I really hate the to encourage people to not be typical Magic players, whenever you bring up, you have to interact with Tainted Pact via discard spells or counter spells. There's always these dipshits that bring up Baleful Mastery and Prismari Command, and sure, you're technically correct that those aren't discard spells or counter spells, but they're the same colors as discard spells and counter spells, so like, stop it. The point in bringing up you need discard spells and counter spells is to highlight the fact that only specific colors get to profitably interact with these things. And you pointing out that there's other things also in those specific colors is just like really lazy and bad. It's showing that you either understand the point and are ignoring it, or you're obtuse and didn't get the point to begin with. Either way, you're telling on yourself. So, cards like Hushbringer technically stop Oracle, but they stop Oracle in the same way that, like, Drannith Magistrate technically stops Sultai Ultimatum in Standard, right? Like, yeah, it stops the card from happening, but also at the same time, like, they're a combo control deck, so, like, it's not really stopping it from happening. It's one of those, so, like, you're right, but you're not.
We must prepare for tomorrow.
Yeah, the deck still exists without Oracle, but it's not tier 1 anymore. Do I think this Chandra is ultimating? What if I downtick Chandra 2, so that way I can threaten Teferi with the token next turn? I think I like that, because then they have to beat Stomp plus her token. It leaves her dead to Lightning Helix, but I'm going to lose a Planeswalker to Lightning Helix regardless.
Let's skip to the good part.
Trigger warning. Thanks for the follow. Good morning. For people looking for information on the Tainted Pact deck, I'd encourage you to check out the Meta Monday report we posted this morning. Has some good stats in it for you.
I say it's over.
How long do you want to wait for a rematch?
Hey, thanks for the Prime, Blue Vader. I appreciate the support. Welcome back. So definitely a little bit behind at the moment. Not just out of it, though. Depends on what their hand is like. They have Torrential Gearhulk here, I imagine we're not catching back up.
I won't hide from the world. Hold that thought.
You would ban Tainted Pact before Oracle. Can you explain what your philosophy of game design is, Swampler? Because I actually think it would be really bad game design to ban Tainted Pact instead of Oracle. Oracle has consistently shown that it is nothing but a problem child in multiple formats, whereas Tainted Pact is kind of a really sweet card that has a deck building requirement in a neat way. So what is your game design philosophy that you by your own admission nobody else seems to agree with? Yeah, I agree, Precipic. I think the pack deck's really sweet with 2 copies of Jace.
We must prepare.
They're not though, Frags. So like the Tainted Pack deck has shown that like a control deck can exist in the format that's reasonable. And like the combo working with something like Jace is so incredibly fair in this format. Again, in comparison, it is so very, very fair. I leave a couple of these in order to finish off Planeswalkers. Also Crew's Heart of Kiran in a pinch. We're going to bring in Klothys to pick at their graveyard. Bring in some Disputes against their Torrential Gearhulk deck. A couple of Chandras at the top end. I think this is an Aether Gust matchup. Yeah, not only is Jace Tainted Pack 6 mana, but you can kill Jace in response to him pulsing. So like Planeswalker removal works. Things like Fry work. Yeah, if you kill Jace in response, they lose the game. I'm trying, like, I honestly can't think of what, I really hope the person responds with, like, what their game design principle is that they think leads to banning Tainted Pack instead of Oracle. Because I literally can't think of any good reasons to do that. So, your comparison there is bad and incorrect, Fig. Banning Splinter Twin would be banning Tainted Pact. Tainted Pack is like the unique card. And for the record, I actually think banning Deceiver Exarch instead of Splinter Twin would have likely been correct in Modern. I don't know that card needed to be banned in general, but it definitely, man, I'm about to get Mystic Disputed, aren't I? Oh, feels just guy control, man. Yeah, the fact that you couldn't bolt Exarch was a big deal, exactly that. It's been a little bit silly cheese. I feel like this format was a lot of control at the very start. Jeskai was the most popular deck this past weekend in the 2 historic tournaments. It also put up a very strong win rate, not quite as high as Tainted Pack, but still pretty high. Emergent Ultimatum fall out of the format entirely. Yeah, it has. Yeah, there's lots of great Magic tournaments that go on in the community. Yeah, I think that's probably realistic, Breath pick. I mean, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if the pack deck just literally didn't have bad matchups.
Let's do this. This'll be easy.
Well, to be fair, James, I don't know that I'd really lump your tournaments in with the same thing like Hoots and the Insight events because they're not open entry, right? Your things are invite only. I usually lump invite only style stuff separately from open entry tournaments. auras has felt hardish. Really? That's interesting. I guess they do have quick-ish draws. The builds of auras that aren't interactive are probably hard. It'll be interesting. That's actually something. I wonder if we'll see auras push back away from the like main deck Myers grasps and stuff we've seen. Because with Jeskai Control and Tainted Pact being popular. Yeah, I can see that. Alright, am I playing around counterspells here? So, chuck this in and draw a card and see what we get.
Oh, this is gonna hurt.
Morning, Sneechy. Magic cards interact in complex ways after finding powerful combinations is part of the fun, and super targeted bans break up specific combos and impose long-term design constraints without printing anything that slots back into the combo. But so here's your own thing. Here's your own by your own admission, Swamp Lore, your goal is to ban the card that limits your design space in the long term. If we look at, historically speaking, the number of cards that break the game with Oracle versus the number of cards that break the game with Tainted Pact, I think Tainted Pact is much less restricting on design space than Thassa's Oracle. And this is why it's great when I ask people to kind of explain where they're coming from. Because, like, by your own explanation, it sounds like you agree with me that we should get rid of the card that reduces design space, but you, for whatever reason, think that Oracle is more freeing than Tainted Pact, which I think history has shown us is just not true. Oracle's basically done unfair, obnoxious things basically everywhere it's been allowed to exist. Not quite sure what this opponent is doing. They were playing Kiora Orphan Guard, and they had a bunch of different colors. I assume there's some kind of like 4-color or 4 or 5-color control deck. Like 4-color, no red, maybe. There's no real need in the game for an unbounded weight. Like, okay, now I'm timing you out because you haven't even read Tainted Pact. So I pointed out that historically speaking, you're wrong. And then you came back and moved the goalpost to a place that doesn't even exist because you haven't read the card. That's pretty peak card game player. Articulate why by your own definition your thing doesn't make sense, and then you slide the goalpost to a place that isn't correct because you didn't read the card. Oh, Magic players. Someone asked about Ponza in chat. I think Ponza's like a solid B-rate deck. You can find my preferred build of Ponza up on my website. We were talking about events to pull data from, James. So small invitational style events aren't really good for pulling data from, so they're not large data sources. Even like my 80 player Hoglandia events aren't very large data sources. Yeah, I agree. If Tainted Pact just lets you set mill your deck with the right deck building restraint, I probably would have expected it to never be legal, but like in Exiles. Definitely in for another land tier. Hand's pretty powerful.
Is not yet decided.
Chipping out, thanks for the follow. Welcome to the channel. Would be a good size to pull data sources from. 1,000+ matches is like where you start to be an okay size.
Focus on the future.
Even then, like, we'll see. Poindexter, thanks for the 3 months. It depends on how many decks you have in that 1,000 match sample size.
Consider all possibilities.
Like, for example, last week we had a data matrix that had over 2,400 games in it, and there were a number of decks in those 2,400 games that weren't very significant in terms of size. What do we think of making a 5/5 and a 4/4 here? I think I'm kind of into it. I'm gonna go plus. You're expecting infinite turns. Yeah, I can't do anything about that. So if they take infinite turns, we'll just concede. I was gonna think about what's our best way to actually try and win the game. I think it's a couple of tokens go. Thanks for the 38 months, Pokemon Nerd. Glad your issue got sorted. I appreciate the tier 3. That's very generous of you. Poindexter, thanks for the quarter of a year. Welcome back. I mean, that's just not true, Crackpipe Kid. It all comes down to like what you value your time as, like, on the ladder.
I'm not ready for you quite yet.
Oh, I could have crewed the Heart of Kiran here, right? Yeah, I should have tapped that to crew the heart. That's fine. If they want to attack into my Heart of Kiran, that's worth spending a loyalty for, right? I actually might induce a mistake here because I didn't do that. Oh, I don't have a 5/5 anymore. Huh. Let's start by scrying. See what we get. Okay, so
The future
I'm gonna loot,
yet decided.
I will learn what
discard
nobody
this.
knows.
I'm going to Chandra can just kill you, Sharn, can't she? Yeah, that's probably the line. I think we deal 3, and then we crew this off of this,
You after class.
and then we send these here and this here, and then I decisive denial.
I must go.
Do I need the denial?
Go according to plan.
Hey, thanks for the entire year, Mr. Siren. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. Yeah, I'd probably just wait. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and pass. I think like there's a good chance the mana leak is great this turn, right? Yeah. And we should just be pretty done at this point, right? This game was like super impressive for both Kasmina and Heart of Kiran, huh? Well, the way we were able to use Chandra was just like really impressive.
We must prepare for tomorrow.
To know is to triumph.
Am I jamming Awakened Inferno? I think I'm jamming Awakened Inferno. It's for the 37 months, Clipsy. I appreciate that. Welcome back.
About to. Glad I could help with your not being on.
Oh, you want an Inferno Plus? Yeah, I can see that being right. I have this to block their 3/3 anyways. Yeah, it's probably right to plus there, you're right. Stone Raining. Stone Raining has a lot of incentive, though. I don't know, if they take a turn this turn, they're not doing much with it, right? I'm aware the land is an elemental. And I can't imagine they beat another mana leak from this position once we untap here.
Oh, looks like someone's getting a little sweaty.
Getting a little sweaty.
The future is not yet decided.
There is no virtue without bravery.
Foolish!
Coward.
Coward. Well, if I fight, my 4 toughness things die, so fighting's probably not a good sign. Hey, Rod, thanks for the 10 months. Welcome back. I wonder if this deck wants another copy. This deck wants another copy of Scions. Come on, I'm only on 2. Have you been, you've played this deck a little bit, Preston Big. Are you playing 3 Scions? You're on 2? You do have a lot of 3s. These are like 3s though, right? The size of the Nile's been reasonable. There really isn't like room to fit another one in here, unfortunately. Let's play one more. Nah, the ladder was full of control decks even before back combo picked up. Magic has a lot of Gandalfs. A lot of people looking to be big-brained and feel smart. Magic, the Gathering of Gandalfs. Yeah, exactly. Damage equal to its power to target. Bite, I think, is usually, as opposed to fight, is what we usually refer to that as. I don't know that there's an official jargon for that. Usually I refer to it as biting. I assume we're gonna lose my turn 2 Planeswalker. For those of you taking notes at home, you should observe that I skillfully drew a different turn 2 Planeswalker here, left that carefully tucked away on top of my deck.
Octopuses, serpents. Oh, I love them all.
Unfortunately, our Crag is coming into play tapped here. So we can't just savage the Sarkhanas. Needed to draw. Even if we hit untapped land there, right? I didn't have a food. And this is why, sorry Foxhole, that was a misclick. This is why people that get upset, like, oh, Jeff doesn't actually want to hear a different point of view. No, you gave your point of view, and then when I explained why I disagreed with you fundamentally, you came back and moved the goalpost, and then you want to blame it on the character limit? Stop it. Stop it. Fuck off. Get out of here. Your literally came back, and like, you're making me out to be the bad person here. You literally came back and added more, and okay, let's blame the character limit. But then, like, even if you didn't have the character limit, you literally came back and you told me the card wasn't okay based on what the card didn't do. You're having an opinion about this card not being okay from a game design perspective, and by your own admission, you don't know what the text of the card does. Which is just, like, unreal typical TCG player. Like, you think this card isn't okay, but you don't actually know what the card does when push came to shove. Nah, I don't put language warnings on my videos unless there's a lot of swearing in it. PG-13 movies get one F-bomb.
You're making me crabby.
Those are the types of people where they're so upset, they're like, oh, Jeff doesn't actually want to hear other points of view. No, I want you to, one, not move the goalpost, and two, when you tell me that you disagree with me, understand what the text of the card is that you're disagreeing with me on. When you don't understand the text and you slid the goalpost, yeah, you're not going to have a good time here. Guzaloo, thanks for the 3rd of the year. I appreciate that. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. We're probably dead here. I don't really have catch-up mechanics game 1.
I've got that sinking feeling again.
We've been some Kiora. Alright, so Abrade sounds good. I think we bring in Magma Spray here. Doesn't kill Arcanist, but it kills Pyromancer. It can also exile Crocs in response to a sacrifice trigger. Hey, thanks for doubling up, Jabba. I really appreciate the 2 months. Welcome back. Thanks for keeping me around. The Slice Denial's probably not. Is this good? Yeah, Klothys is absurd here. Easily one of our best cards. This is probably another matchup. In all of the grindy and fair matchups, you'll see me cut 4 of the mana accelerants here. I think we probably want Chandra's. Bouncing things is like okay against Crocs are pretty mediocre otherwise. Yeah, even though she misses elemental tokens, she's still very good here. Aether Gust is probably fine. I think I'm going to trim the hearts because my opponent's likely to interact with my board a lot and keep me off of Planeswalkers to crew this. And this keeps Arcanist tempoed for a little bit, so that's probably fine. Maybe I don't want both Aether Gusts. Thanks for the 36 months, Demox. Welcome back. Oh no. Is 36 middle-aged? I'm getting so close, chat. I'm getting so close. Don't tell me that. Lie to me. Rozkaz, thanks for the sub gifts. No, I banned Swamp on purpose. That wasn't a misclick. I don't put up with the, oh, you're censoring me. You didn't actually want to hear my opinion. No, I did want to hear your opinion. You're just upset that when you gave your opinion that I dissected it the way that I did. Thanks for taking no guff and being a decent human. It makes your channel more worth watching beyond your great content. Thanks for the 20 months, Brian. Cancel culture, yeah, exactly. Cancel it all. Alright, so probably taking Fatal Push here, actually. My hand's pretty chunky, so Inquisition being flashback doesn't matter. And they can eventually push a dragon, perhaps. Someone asked me if we played the Abzan deck yet. We've not. This is still our first deck of the day here. You get timed out, can you still watch? Of course. You just don't. You stop acquiring channel points and you can't type in chat. Mr. Clamzo, thanks for the follow. Good morning. Pack Rat. That's a name. It's a name I haven't heard in a long time. Could have taken a land and cast Sarkhan. I could have, or I could have cast Kasmina. How are the sub-surveys looking, by the way? They're good. If you look on Twitter and in the announcements channel in the subs Discord, I posted some of the results from the subscriber survey for people that filled it out over the weekend. We had about 600 responses. A little bit lower than usual, but also, you know, people are pretty, nothing too crazy is going on right now, so that doesn't surprise me. Nice, Chewy, get at it. Yeah, playing around playing the Firstborn is an interesting thought. Maybe I'm supposed to. I don't know, like, I feel like I need to be able to protect these Planeswalkers. Where is the deck queue? Exclamation point Q gets you to the deck queue, the stream queue. I'm happy with how I boarded here. I'm gonna run it back. Yeah, I've been lazy on some days, and not always putting all the deck names in the stream title. If I put deck names in the stream title, I gotta remember to update the stream title. It's a whole ordeal, chat. I'm gonna play Cragcrown Pathway untapped here. So this way, if they play Kroxa, I can exile it. And if they play Pyromancer, we can hit it. I think I'm waiting to Bonecrusher that one. Yeah, I'm gonna Bonecrusher that one. Do you think there is a best iteration of the pack deck? No, not at all. If the pack deck is left unbanned, we will probably won't even know what the best version of it looks like. I'd bet for months. Like, the mostly singleton nature of it means that it's incredibly difficult to optimize. Yeah, I think the Zan's build is based off of what's his name? The Squad Chief variations, and Squad's been playing it a ton. So. When does a combo deck cross the line into being banned? In my opinion, if a combo deck is only interactable via counter spells and discard spells, it should never be allowed to be one of the best decks in the format. In order for a combo deck to be allowed to be one of the best decks in the format, it needs to either operate in terms of creatures on the board or out of the graveyard. In my opinion. Because when combo decks operate out of the graveyard or via creatures on the board, it gives every color lots of meaningful ways to be able to interact with it. And that's the key. That's the thing that I look for in terms of, is this okay or is it not okay? What's the volume of things that allow me to interact with this? And Tainted Pact does not pass that test. to too few things allow you to profitably interact with Tainted Pack. Yeah, losing. The fact that this got discard spelled here probably means we're dead. What about artifact-based combo? That's not really a thing. Can you give me an example of artifact-based combo? Can you give me an example of artifact-based combo that's not creature-based or graveyard-based? KCI was a graveyard-based deck, right? And even that ended up getting banned because of quality of life things. But just for the sake of, sure, but like those decks aren't very good, right? So like there's never been a deck like that like operates fully, like, again, like think back over the combo decks that have existed, and you'll realize that most of them fit into that criteria I just described. They either lean on the graveyard, or you can interact with creatures. So, and like the people listing things that exist in like vintage, like, yeah, like how liberal are you with the use of the word combo? Like, sure. So, yeah. At any rate, this deck is fine. I think if you're looking to play a bunch of Planeswalkers, this is definitely one of the better piles of Planeswalker decks I've played in Historic. I feel like after playing these last couple of sets, I'd be inclined to get more Royal Scions in here. I know we have a glut of 3s already, but one of kind of the problems this archetype has that we saw play out in a few of these games is that we're playing 8 1-mana accelerants, so we can cast our spells ahead of curve. But these things also, on top of our 24 lands, means that we have 32 mana sources. And the games where we don't find a Royal Scion for card selection to help us filter through feel pretty bad. Also, Royal Scions is a Planeswalker that you don't really mind drawing multiples of, because you can loot through extra copies of her, right? So how would I fit those in here? I'd want to get up to 4. Maybe we trim like a Heart of Kiran, and then maybe we give up one of our 5 drops at the very top end, or maybe we give up these. Maybe we give up the Decisive Denials. They were only okay. So like Auras is still like a very real deck in the format, and I like that this lets you apply pressure and stuff. You want to cut a land? I really don't think you want to cut a land. I feel like I'd cut these denials, then I'd add, maybe we leave the other Heart of Kiran in, and we just like cut the denials. We're going up Planeswalkers, so going up Planeswalkers makes the hearts better. So leaving 3 of those is probably fine. Yeah, I think I'd do that. I think I'd just cut the couple of Decisive Denials that were kind of a flex slot, and then put the Royal Scions in. Did I miss Shifting Ceratops? No, not really. Now, I think you want the 8 1-mana accelerants. And again, especially like people suggesting we cut these, like cutting an accelerant when I'm going up on high impact 3-mana plays is definitely a mistake, right? Like if anything, Royal Scions makes me want even more accelerants. And there's probably an argument for like, okay, cut this 3rd Heart of Kiran and like play an Arboreal Grazer. Because like with these 3-mana Planeswalkers, your hands where you have an accelerant on one are much better than your hands where you don't. And going up to 4 Royal Scions means you have more filtering and selection, which means you can afford to have more awkward cards like Grazer in the late game because you can kind of filter through them. So the problem with Valakut Awakening is 1, we already have a lot of expensive cards that don't play to the board, and 2, I don't have any basics in my mana base. So if I want to cut a land for Valakut Awakening, I'm going to lose colored sources of spells to cast my spells consistently. So yeah, honestly, I kind of like that idea. You basically always want a 1-mana accelerant, and with more Royal Scions, you can afford to play 1 more Brink here. So I think I would add more selection in Scions, and I would go up an Arboreal Grazer here, so that your number of hands that like have 1-mana accelerant into this is more ideal. All right, let's shift gears here on to our next deck of the day.